identity development in this case, especially about the European identity in Erasmus students, because we saw that for the Erasmus students, they take the Europeanness as a reference point in a culture which is relatively larger to their home cultures. So they expressed all their cultural knowledge based on the Europeanness and non-Europeanness. So our European identity became a significant, prominent theme in their expressions of their cultural knowledge. However, in Amsterdam, we didn't find something like that. On the contrary, they prioritized their national identity, not the European identity, and they described the European identity in terms of just the historical background. But here again, the cultural distance have an impact on the identity development as well, when we face differences, not the similarities. So this was an important finding, although the research at the beginning didn't have such an aim. And also the two ICC outcomes were also important: language development and academic development. In the literature, we see that ICC, or the study abroad, in fact, impact on the language and academic development. However, we see that the short term, 5 or 6 months, didn't contribute in their language competencies, because in Dutch language students, they couldn't practice a lot, they couldn't develop their language competences, and it's the same thing in Turkey as well. They say that they have very less opportunities with talking with locals because of the lack of sufficient English other than the university students. And also academic development in UvA, in Amsterdam, students chose Amsterdam for academic purposes. However, the teaching, because of the differences in teaching strategies and teaching methods, they faced a lot of difficulties and they couldn't adapt in the system for such a short term. And these were also important findings in terms of ICC outcomes. So to conclude, in the process, as you have seen in the previous figure, we found out that there are other factors to be further investigated in the ICC development as personality traits and also the length of stay, which should be researched more in the figure, in the ICC development, because personality, each experience is unique. So the study abroad experience is unique, so the ICCs are unique. Therefore, the personality may have an impact on the ICC development as well. And also the length of stay. There are several studies in study abroad about the length of stay, but there are not enough studies. The evidence are contradicting, so there should be more research about the length of stay if short-term abroad really contributes in the intercultural communication competences. So this has to be investigated more as well. Of course, the sample size can be perceived as a limitation in the study, but we took totally a qualitative approach with in-depth interviews, so we thought that we really gained an in-depth understanding about the process. So finally, I have to say that the issue about building social networks, so we see in the literature as well that international students mainly build up networks with other international students, not the locals. We already know that 70% of the studies show it, but we suggest that higher education institutions can develop better strategies for the international students, especially in terms of the challenge we describe here as the language barrier and the cultural distance, to help them to overcome all these barriers, to engage with the cultural differences and develop better ICC. Thank you for listening.